Let's take a look a little bit deeper at some of the guys after that first round that the Browns may look at. And I know you like a guy from Houston, Payton Turner. Tell me a little bit about him. What do you like about him?
Well, the thing I like about Payton Turner is he's a very intriguing physical prospect. He's 6'5", 270 pounds. So obviously from a physical standpoint, he's a tremendous specimen. I think there's potential that if he gains weight, he can move inside, but he's got a lot of ability and versatility, which of course we've seen matters to the Browns, as we've seen from their free agency moves that they value versatility. This is a guy who can do a lot of different things. He can play well in both the pass and the run. He's physical. He's got length. Plenty of the tools I think you look for in defensive end. And I think when you look at that position, you want to look for tools specifically.
Looks like his production is a little bit higher as well, and that's probably a function of him being a little bit older and having played a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at his numbers, 5 sacks last season, 4 in 2019. He's got a forced fumble in there. I think there's nothing wrong necessarily with taking veteran players, older players in the draft, as long as you kind of understand that you're going to only have them for a few more years. Maybe their ceiling isn't as high, but then again, this is why we're talking day 2 guys. You're either talking guys that have lower ceilings than other guys or lower floors than other guys. By this point, you're getting guys that just aren't as feeling as first round guys. But Turner, I think, is a guy that if you're looking for an edge rusher in the 3rd round, you want to have more depth, this is a guy I would target.
Another guy that I know you like, a Texas guy, is Joseph Ossai. What do you like about Ossai? What jumps out about him?
What jumps out about me is his motor, and motor is an important thing to me when you want to have an edge rusher. You want a guy that even when he's out of the play, that he's not going to give up on the play. I mentioned before when I think it was the Red River game against Oklahoma, he was out of the play then chased a running back about 20 yards down the field to force a fumble. That tells me all I need to know about a guy like Ossai. He's a little smaller, about 245 pounds, kind of similar physically to Aziz Ojulari. So he's probably better suited in a 3-4, can probably play in the 4-3, but there's a lot there to like, again, with the motor and the ability to force turnovers.
Yeah, explosive is the way that a lot of people will describe him. And another guy that we've heard linked to the Browns, Joe Tryon from Washington. What do you like about him? What do you see when you look at him?
Yeah, we talked about him before as a guy who could potentially, I'm trying to remember who mocked him to the first round for the Browns at 26. But I look at Tryon. He's another one of these guys that didn't play this year, but his 2019 numbers are impressive alone. And you look at 8 sacks, a guy that's that disruptive in the backfield, 6'5", 262. He's got a lot of athletic tools. I think it's always going to come down, at least in this year, to all the guys that opted out. How did they develop? How do they look in their pro days? Do they look like they've been in the weight room working hard? They've been working on their technique. I think those are things you're going to have to just do a lot of deep dive into. And Tryon's range is interesting because he's a guy that could go early, as I mentioned, the mock that had him 26 to the Browns. I think he's more of a 2nd rounder, maybe a 3rd, depending on how much teams are looking for information that they don't have. But I think he's another guy you bank on because of his upside and his athletic ability.